Now click on the first link. Scroll down, and here we have like download packages. Now click on the download packages. Now simply here scroll down. If you observe like all the versions here, we have a lot of versions. Okay. Now we need to select like a little bit older version like that 4.23 or 4.22. Like what is it, whatever you want. Now click on for suppose like 4.23. And to get like this simply here. Okay, now you need to install like this thing. Okay, no, not this one. Okay, if you install this one, again you need to install like other time this one. Okay, it's a waste of time. That's why simply, okay, the first time only you need to download this one. That's better. Why in the sense, if you downloaded this one Eclipse ID for the Java developers, you can develop only the standalone. Okay, now that's why simply we need to download like this one. If you are like Windows or Mac OS or Linux, simply now based on this thing, you can click on this thing, automatically going to be downloaded. Okay, now for installation, simply here, the application going to be see like this. If I open this thing, now it will ask some workspaces, but simply by default workspace it will select. But I want to create like one folder. Within the folder, I want to write like my own programs and my own projects. I want to create that. Okay. Now in that case, simply here, now we can create like one folder like this. Suppose the folder name you can give like the Java. Suppose the Java programs you can give that. Okay. Now select this folder, open it. Now copy this like a URL. Okay, see here. Control copy. Sorry. The control copy this URL. Now paste in this workspace. Okay, control B. Now here. C folder users HP desktop and Java programs. Now launch it. Now here we can see that like metadata. Okay, here you can display that our projects and examples, everything. Now here, the new workspace is I created. Okay, like you said, whenever you download it, it will be showing like this. Okay, now this welcome page, we don't need this one, the welcome page, close here. Okay, now the first and foremost thing here, what we need to check here, if you observe like the right top corner, open perspective. Okay, now click on this thing. If you're working with like that without server, select Java. If you're working with like server, Java double. Okay, right now we need to select like a Java only. Now click on OK. Now see that little bit changes are happening in that like in the background in the window. Obstacle problems and Java doc and the declarations here we have. There is no server concept. If you want to add server concept, simply go to the Java W. Now see now we are going to get server. Okay. Now we can add the server here. But right now we are learning core Java. Right? Now we don't need like any server thing. Now simply go to the Java. That's it. Now I want to create a project. Now you can click on this link or otherwise simply here we have one more way. Now click on the file. Okay, go to the new, create a Java project. Okay, the project name should be, okay, it's a mandatory, you need to follow that. Now first you need to select like the versions, whatever you want. Okay, 1.8 or like 11 or something, you can select whatever you want. Okay, now the project name simply here like a demo Java, the project name. Okay, simply click on the finish. Now see the demo Java is created. Object over here. Now here you can see like a right angular basis simply here. Click on this thing to see the internal things. Now here. You click on this thing simply to show you to this now SRC and the Java library system. Okay. Now here we have like all the jar files, the tools. Okay, automatically that Eclipse will get that the path. Okay. Now we don't need to like give the path automatically. Automatically select that Eclipse. Okay. Now I need to create a class. Okay. Now then what is the required of Eclipse? Why we are using Eclipse? By using Notepad also we are doing, right? Okay. We can write the program, all these things we can do that. Okay, by using Notepad, simply I create the file. Now, if it is a file, simply it's a mandatory to write like compilation and execution. Okay. The compilation syntax is what? Java C space file name dot Java. Now If it is the execution, simply here Java space class name. Okay. Now these things we need to write, and every time for every program we need to execute. Okay, we need to compile it. Okay, it will take a lot of time, as well as if it's a normal notepad, simply if I'm writing any code, after compilation only we are going to get the errors. But in the Eclipse, simply here it is auto compiled. Okay, whenever we are writing the code, at the time only it's automatically compiled. We don't need to compile explicitly here. Okay, then how I can create a like a class here? If you want to create a class, now right click on the src. Okay, now select the src, right click it, go to the new, create a class. Okay, create a class. Now the class name is like a test I'm going to give. Okay, if you want to give the package name simply we can follow that com.demo or anything, whatever you want. Okay, now finish it. See here, it's a created one class. Now control plus plus. Now see, we need a main method. What is the main method? What is the main method? Public static void main, all these things. But suppose simply public static void main, all these things. Now for suppose if I want to write like a thousand times classes, thousand times I want to write like main method. Without writing all these things, simply we have like one shortcut, main, control space. Okay, now main main, control space, enter, we'll get the main method. Okay, we don't need to write like public static void main, we have the shortcut already. Now you can write the main, control space, enter. That's it, we are going to get the main method. Okay, in every program simply we are going to execute hello world, right? If you want to execute and if you want to print that, now we have like one statement, system.out.println. Every time we don't need to write simply here CISO. Okay, CISO control space. Now we are going to get like printing statement. Now hello world. Okay, now observe carefully here. Right now the file is not saved. See here, if you observe that star mark, the file is not saved. Save it. Control S. Right click, run as Java application. The file is saved. See here. Now observe carefully. If I miss a semicolon, now we are getting error. This is a compile time error. Okay, here only we can see that. But in the case of normal files, if I created any file, explicitly after using compilation command, then only we know that errors. But here at the time of writing code only we can see that. See here, if I place the cursor on that, syntax error, insert semicolon to complete the block statement. Okay, by reading that line, simply I can enter it, right click, save it, execute it. Okay, simply we'll get like hello world. Okay, now this is the way now we can create like project. If you observe that, what are the folder I created in the folder? Java programs. Now see here, metadata. Metadata is like it's related to like Eclipse only. Now here we have like our project demo Java. Open it. Click on the src. Now say com. It's a package, demo package. Now test file is there. Okay. Now like this, it's going to be sharing. Okay. Now this is the way now we can create that Eclipse separate folder. Now, but suppose simply here I want to switch to another workspace. Simply here I want to create like another workspace. Right now I'm not going to use like this folder. Okay, I'm going to create like another folder. Okay, we have to switch it. Okay, now I'm going to create like a one more like a project. Project name is simply here new. Now social HR or simply here April 18. Okay, now again I'm going to create like one package. The package name is new com dot variables. Okay, now in this variable simply I'm going to execute like variable related classes. That's it. New again class. The class is named like a variable temp. Okay. Now in this demo simply here, now first we need to write like main method only. Okay. Now give some space. Now write the main method. Okay. Now in this location we are going to create some variables. What are those variables? Global variables. Now simply here global variables. No, these variables are how many? Two types. First one is like instance. Second one is what? Static. Okay, without static keyword, simply we can say it is instance. With the static keyword, it is static keyword. Now, first I will execute this one. Next, we'll go with like one more concept. Now, int age, or simply here, int marks is equal to 89. Now, static string. Okay, now school name is equal to simply here NHS. Okay, now how I can print marks first? I want to print marks. Okay, object creation. Why in the sense? First, we need to check that marks is a variable. That's okay. Which type of variable it is? It is an instance variable. Okay, if we want to print instance variable, now we need to create an object. Then how I can create the object? To create object of class name simply here. Now variable demo dd is equal to new control space. We are going to get directly that outside constructor. Now I want to print that mark simply here. SYSO simply here. My marks are now simply here. We can print that marks that. Okay. Now these marks are related to what? The object on the right. Now dd dot marks. Control S, right click, run as Java application. Now simply here we are going to get like my marks are 89. Now the global properties we have like a four. What are the syntax different, memory allocation, how to access, and when to access. A syntax in the sense like without a static keyword, simply we can say it is an instance variable. With a static keyword, we can say static variable. Memory allocation. Now static properties, it's going to will get the memory space at the time of class loading into JVM. Okay, the instance properties will get memory space at the time of object creation. Now then how I can access the static properties? I can access by using class name. Okay, instance properties I can access by using object reference. Now when to go for like instance and when to go for static. Okay, now whenever the common properties are there, we'll go for static. Now whenever the unique properties are there, we'll go for instance. Okay, now these are about like variables. Now the next thing simply here we have methods. Okay, methods. Now what is a method simply here? Already we learned one method. What is that? Main method. Okay, what's the main method? Public static void main. Now within the main, string of args of array. Now the logic. Okay, the logic simply here. Okay, it is a one method. Even though it is a user predefined method, it is also method. Now I want to write my own method. Okay, I want to define one method. I want to create like one method. Okay, now what is the syntax for the method? Okay, before going to syntax, then what is the method definition? Okay, now simply method is the location. Okay, now where we can write our logic. Okay, to perform some action. Okay, now method is the location. Now where we can write our logic to perform some action. Now this location we are writing the logics. Okay, to perform some actions. Now what is the syntax for that? What is the syntax for the method? Now access modifier. Okay, now return type, method name. Okay, with the parentheses. If you want to write like any parameters, if any params, you can write. Now open and close curly braces. Okay, now here we are going to write like a logic. Okay, now the syntax is what? Access modifier. Okay, now return type. Now method name. Okay, if any parameters, the logic simply here. Okay, observe carefully here. Up to this, simply we can say like a method head. Okay, now this thing we can say like a method body. Okay, now this one simply we can say like method head, and this is like a method body. Okay, now I want to create like one method. I want to display something. Okay, I want to display something. Now the method, first we need like access modifier. We have like four access modifiers. We have like public, private, protected, default. Okay, we have some other concepts also. We have there will we're going to discuss about it. Now public. Now return type, every method is returning something. Okay, but suppose what is the return type in this? For suppose 12 plus 12, now what is output? 24. But suppose 12 is which type? Number type, right? 12 also which type? Number type. Output is also what? Number type. In the sense what? The return type is representing output type. Okay, now for suppose logic is I'm doing like 23 plus 34. Okay, this is the logic. This is the action. The action is what? Performing addition operation. Now what is the output? Int. Okay, int type only. The return type we need to mention like that. Okay, but suppose I don't want to return anything. Okay, I don't want to do any action. Simply I want to printing only. Okay, now we need to write a void. Okay, if you don't want to return anything, simply return void. Or otherwise, simply here, if you want to return output is int type, you can write int. Okay, if you want to return float type, you can write float. If you want to return like boolean type, you can write the boolean. But right now I don't want to return anything. Void. Okay, method name. I want to display something. Now display I want to write. Okay. Now open and close parenthesis. Now right now I don't want to pass any parameters. Open and close curly braces. Okay. Now access modifier, return type, method name, and a parenthesis, open and close. Now I want to print something SYSO, system.out.println. Now simply here, don't sleep. Okay. Now wake up. Okay. Now this thing I want to print. Okay. Observable here. I want to create like one class. Within the class I want to write. But suppose which method it is. Okay. Which method it is. Okay. Simply here in the global variables, we have two types: instance variable, starting variable. Okay. Like that, methods also having the same properties. We have like instance method and we have like static method. If you observe it, main method is like instance method or static method. Main method is instance method or static method? Static method. Why? We have the static keyword. Now tell me, this method is like instance method or static method? Instance method. Why? In the sense there is no static keyword. Okay. Now again, the methods also same properties. Okay. How the different properties we have like variables, the four, the same properties will apply for the methods also. Okay. For suppose if it is a static property, how I can execute, how I can call? By using class name. The method also will be like that. Okay. If it is instance method, I can using by using object reference only. Now, okay, the method creation, it is the one part. But suppose one more way also here we have. Okay, now this method is instance method. Okay, without return type. Okay, without return type and without the parameters. Observe carefully here. This method doesn't have any return type. Only void is we have. Okay, I'm not passing any parameters to the function. Okay, next one more type. Okay, based on the requirement, we need to choose like these functions. Now public, again void, but suppose simply here like assign amount, right? Okay, now int a comma int b. Okay, but suppose simply here I'm going to write like some function. Now should be open, should be close. Now I want to print like addition of two numbers. SYSO of simply we'll see like practically also. Now simply here addition of two nums is simply here a plus b. Okay, a plus b. Now it is what? It is also which type? Instance method. Okay, instance method without return type with parameters. Okay, with the parameter. But this one without parameters. Now one more point, one more method representation. Public int multi of two nums. Okay, this is the way now when you write the methods camel case. Okay. Now, if you want to multiplication of two numbers, how many numbers we need? Parameters? Two. Now into A comma into B. Now open and close it. Okay. Now this method is returning int type, right? Now, if you want to return other type, simply we need to use a return keyword. Okay, what you want to return? A into B. Okay. Now, this is the way. Now, these are three ways we can write the methods. Okay. Now, these are all methods are which methods? Instance method. For suppose simply here. Now, which method these are all? Static methods. Okay. Now, but suppose I want to call this method. Okay. But suppose I want to call like this display method. How I can call? How I can execute? I want to execute this logic. Okay. Now, if it is a static property, how we can execute by using class name? But suppose consider like a test is a class name. Now, test dot the display method. Okay, the display method. Now, but suppose simply here, it is like instance method. How I can execute this thing? We need to create object. Okay, for suppose test t is equal to new test. Okay, now t dot sum simply here we need to pass 12 comma 45. Sorry, so comma not point. Okay, we'll see practically here. Now, are you clear the methods? Any doubt? Okay, how many properties we have for that variables? The same properties will apply for the methods also. Like every method should be written something. If you don't want to return something, simply you need to write like void. Okay, otherwise simply write that any type. If you're writing any type except void, you need to mandatory to write like a return keyword. Okay, that's a point. Now, I'm going to select one class. There is a methods demo. Okay, now first you will write main method. Now, where I want to write methods, can I write inside the main method? Okay. Now, methods are two types of instance method, static method. Okay, what is instance and static methods are variables where we can write outside the main method or inside the class, this location. Now, these methods also we can write outside the method. Okay, why in the sense the point of a starting point is like a main method only. Okay, that's why simply instance variables, instance methods, static variables, static methods, everything we are going to write within the class only. Now, simply here, I want to write like a sorry, one method. The same methods I'm going to write public void display method. Okay, SO simply here like don't sleep, wake up. Okay, wake up. Now it is instance method, right? Okay. Now, why in the sense there is no static keyword here in this method. Now, I want to create an object. Okay. Why in the sense this method is instance. Okay. Even though it is instance variable, I can create it object. But right now here we have only one method, that is instance method. Okay. That's why we need to create an object for this class. Now, what is the class name? Simply methods demo. Okay. Methods demo. MD is equal to new methods demo. Okay, new methods demo. Now control save the file. Now I created an object. Okay, object creation. Okay, then how I can call this display method? MD dot don't sleep or display method. Okay, now save the file, right click, run as Java application. Now here, don't sleep, wake up. Now we have like one more way, right? Two more ways simply here we have. Okay, I will like those things also. Now public void sum method. Okay, this sum method is accepting like the two parameters into a comma into b. Now simply here I'm going to write like a SYSO addition of two nums. Simply we need to print what? A, plus big. Okay. Now save the file. Okay. Now one more way. Now simply here we have like again public into type again multi. Okay. Now if you want to do multiplication, simply we need two values into a comma into b. Okay. Now this function is returning a into b. Okay. Now how I can call this method? How I can call this method? Object question again. It is also instance method. Okay, that's why simply we need to call md dot sum method. Okay, the sum method is asking like two parameters. 78, sorry, 78. Now like a 52. Now again one more method is we have. What is that? Multi. Okay. Now simply here md dot multi. Okay, the multi also simply 12 comma 12. Okay. Now can you guess the output? What is the output? All the values. Okay, if I execute 24, 25, 26, now what is the output? Hmm. What is the output of like these three lines? 24, 25, 26.
24 we can don't see papers.
Okay.
They also prints the sum of two numbers.
Okay.
Cancellation doesn't print anything.
Okay. Now you said like the 26 line is not printing anything. Okay, we'll see that. What will happen? Right click, run as Java application. Exactly. See here, first method is calling like don't sleep and wake up. The second method is showing like addition of two numbers is 130. But third method is not showing anything. Why in the sense? Okay, I wrote only the action. I'm not saying like printing. Okay, just to do only action, don't print. Okay, now whenever the requirement I want to print, I can call that this entire method inside the println statement. Okay, now observe carefully here. For suppose this method I want to write inside the println statement. Now SOSO, now control V simply here. Now MD dot multi. Okay, here only the action is doing. Okay, there is no printing statement. Now if I execute that, right click, run as Java application. Now say we got like a 144. But suppose simply here 13, 13, 169. Control S, right click, run as Java application. Now here it's a 169. Okay. Now this is a way like we can call like it's a method. For suppose these are all our instance methods. For suppose if it is a static methods, or suppose simply here control copy, control V, sorry. Okay, now execute it. Execution of static methods.
Variables, about that.
Variables. How I can execute display method and sum method and multi method.
That's by using class.
Yeah, exactly. Now by using class name, we can execute that. Now simply here, control copy. Now control V dot the display method again. Control V dot again sum method. Again now console dot, sorry, not console, system dot now methods demo dot multi method 14 14. Okay, control is right click, run as Java application. Now simply here we got output like both are same. Okay, now the thing is what here we need to learn. If it is a static method, how we can call. If it is an instance method, how we can call. Okay, if it is an instance variable, how we can call. If it is a static variable, how we can call. Okay, now I clear that methods. Now see, I'm going to give like a little bit task, simply execute it right now. Now create a class. Okay, create a class employee. Okay, now this employee has some salary variable. Okay, now need to find out annual salary. Okay, annual salary of the employee. Okay. Now first execute this thing. Now note down this one. We'll go with like the timeline. Okay. Next we'll go with like a why the main method is a public, why the static, why the main method is the name in the main. We'll see that. Okay. Just execute this one. We'll see. First execute this methods. You are done. You are clear, everyone. Okay. Now next the main method. Okay. Now what is the main method? Simply public static void main. Now within the main, now we can write like string of array. We will complete like main and will end up. Okay. Now, okay. Why the main method is public? Why the main method is static? Why the main method is void? And why the main method name is main? Okay. Now why the string only? Why the args? Okay. Now did you watch like Mogadira movie? Mogadira movie. You know that? No, don't know. Yeah. In Hindi, what is the name? Oh, yeah, okay. Now that the Mogadira movie only exact like main method only. Okay, I will show you right now. Now see here. Before going to that, now public. Or suppose simply here, if you observe like every girl Instagrams like they are private, Facebook or everything private. Okay. Now if our account is private, now can I see your post? No, can I comment anything? No, no, we cannot do anything. In the sense what? It's a private. Now, then this main method is executed by JVM only. Okay. Now the JVM wants to execute the main method every time. For every class, for every time, the JVM is responsible to execute the main method. Okay. The JVM is checking for the main method. Okay. Now if it is a private, the JVM can't see the main method. Okay, now JVM cannot see the main method. But if we want to execute that, the responsibility of JVM is what? Execute the main method only. But if it is a public, then only the JVM can see that it will execute that. Okay, that's why the main method is a public. Okay, public in the sense everyone can access. Okay, everyone can access that. Now, why the static? Okay, now it is a method, right? It's a main method or a method only. Now, if it is an instance, who is the responsible to create object? Okay, now we are not going to create an object. Now JVM can't create an object. So the person we need to only, but it is a predefined method. Okay, the responsible to create an object for the JVM, but JVM cannot create the object of the main method. Okay, now that's why simply here it will make it as a static. Okay, if it is a static in the sense what? Whenever the dot class file loading, automatically the properties, static properties will get the memory spaces. Okay, that's why we don't need to create any object. Okay, now why the main method is a void? Okay, every method should return something. Okay, now this main method should not return anything. Okay, why? In the sense it's executed by the JVM only. Okay, it's executed by the JVM. That's why this main method will not return anything. Okay, now the simple answer why the main method is the main. Okay, but suppose right now I'm writing like 1,000 classes, 10,000 classes, 20,000 classes. Every time this method should be used. Okay, now that's why the main as a method. Okay, nothing is there for that about like the name. Okay, every time we are using it is a main. That's why the purpose is the main only. Okay, now public static void main. Why string? Why not int? Okay, why not int? For suppose simply here. Now we have like a lot of property. I enter into like main method. For suppose into values I'm going to insert. Okay, for suppose I entered salary is like 56.78. Okay, the conversion of into to float, into to like byte, into to like short, or byte to float, byte to int, byte to boolean. It is a very difficulty. Okay, now but suppose if I pass any type of data into type and float type, okay, float type or boolean type. Okay, now if I pass any type of data, it is active accepting as a string type. Okay, internally. Now string to number I can convert, string to boolean I can convert easily, string to like float I can convert, string to double, easily conversion we have. Okay, now that's why the class is made as a string. Okay, now why in the sense in the main method why they are making as array? Okay, basically array has some fixed size but it is a empty. Now in this method, in this array, you can pass any number of values. The values are should be string type only. You can pass any number of values. Okay, either int type, float type, boolean type, any type you can pass. Every type is like a string type only. Now after that, you can convert to string to int, string to boolean, string to like float, string to double. It is a easy conversion. For suppose instead of the string, if I mention like int, now we cannot convert. Okay, now even it will take a lot of time. Okay, a lot of values when you write. Okay, the type conversion is very difficulty for that. Okay, now that's the string. Args in the sense like variable name. Okay, how we can write this thing variable in the sense it is array representation. For suppose string args of array is equal to new string like this. We need to mention this is the object creation of this one. But the left side part only they're going to mention there is no size limit. Okay, now these are way like now in the sense what empty array we can pass any number of values. Now this is what the reference, the variable name. Okay, the variable name. Now here the variable name you can write anything by default. It's a predefined method. They mentioned like args, but you can write your name also. Okay, the Kirti name also you can write any name whatever you want you can write. Okay, this square basis after that variable name or before the variable name it's valid. Anywhere it's a valid. Okay, observe carefully here. I'm going to create like one more class demo. Now observe carefully here. The question is like, can I compile without a main method? The first question from the main method. Can I compile without main method? Now I can compile it. There is an error. Any error in that? No error. Okay, I can compile it. Now, can I execute main method without a compile? Sorry, can I execute a main method? Can I execute without main method? For suppose, observe carefully here. Now, main I'm going to creating. Now, SYSO, welcome. Okay, now right click, run as what? Java application and run command. Two options we are going to get. Now, right now we have like main method. That's what we are going to get. But suppose if I comment this main method, or there is no main method, I'm trying to execute it. Right click, run as, nothing. Now we cannot execute that. Simply here. Now I can compile without main method, but I cannot execute without main method. But suppose simply observe carefully here. Main now SOSO welcome. Right click, run as Java application. Welcome we are going to get. For suppose who will execute this main method? JVM only, right? If I make it as private, JVM can see that? No. For suppose I am going to make it as private. Control S, right click, run as, I cannot execute that. Okay, simply private in the sense like the JVM can't see that. Okay, now public. But suppose I'm going to make it, I'm going to remove static. Okay, now control S, right click, run as, we cannot execute. Okay, I need to make it as a the static. But suppose I'm removing like void. Every method should be written something. We are getting error directly. Why in the sense the method syntax is what? Access modifier, return type, method name. Okay, I completely removed that return type only. Okay, that's why the return type is a mandatory one. Okay, main method. Okay, you can write any name. But for suppose right now I can see that I can execute the main method. But suppose instead of that main method name, I can write like my name. Okay, right click, run as Java application. Okay, it's a predefined, it's defined by the Sun Micro system. Okay, the JVM can check that it's a public, static, void, main. It's perfectly there or not.
So where private is used, private static.
Yeah, we are going to learn that concept. Okay, now public, private, protected, default also we have some concepts here. Access modifiers concepts we have in the further. Okay, now simply here the JVM can see that every time is like main name only. Okay, now instead of that string, I want to use like int type. You can use it, no issues on that. Control S, right click, run as. We cannot execute that. Why? The type is string. It's a mandatory. Now, simply here we can use that. Okay, instead of that args, we can write like my name also. No issues. I can execute that. See here, right click, run as Java application is here. I can execute that. Okay, args is what you can write a variable name. Variable in the name is whatever you can write it. But suppose I want to write one more main method. Okay, I want to write one more main method. Control copy and a control V. Now we cannot write that. Okay, but we can change the type. Okay, we can change the type, but we cannot write the exactly same. Okay, the concept is called overloading and overriding. Okay, now we cannot overload that. So we cannot override that, but we can overload it. Okay, this is a overloading. Now overriding we cannot do that. Now overriding in this is like the same thing. Okay, it's a overriding. Simply we cannot override the main method, but we can overload it. Now we have concept also like in the polymorphism, overload and overriding. Okay, now the purpose of main method is that much important. Okay, now why the public, why the static, why the void, why the main? Okay, simply the interview question, can you please explain about like main method? Okay, now the main method should be executed by the JVM. The JVM is always checking that the syntax for the public, static, void, main. Okay, if it is not public, the JVM can't see that main method. If it is not static, simply the JVM can't create the object. As also we cannot create object. That's why it's responsible to create like object of JVM, but we need to use a static. In the sense what? We need to get memory space for that method. Okay, void in the sense every method should be written something, even void also, but JVM cannot return anything. That's why it's written void. Okay, why the main method name in the main in the sense for everywhere, for every class we are going to use the main method. That's why the main. Okay, why the string